Well, joining me here on Indy Style, I'm really excited about this interview. This is Air Force Brigadier General Jim Demarest. You get that right?
You got that right, sir. Thanks for having me on.
I did it. Hey, we're going to get right into this this story. I read it, and I'll be honest with you, I had to fight the tears when I read the story here. You're trying to get the Medal of Honor for a gentleman who gave his life. That was Captain Stephen Phillips. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Steve Phillips was an Air Force Academy graduate who flew the A-10 Warthog and was on February 15th of 1991 flying on his 30th mission of Operation Desert Storm. It was his most dangerous mission of the war by far. He was 100 miles north of the border, attacking one of Saddam Hussein's elite Republican Guard units, who had for the most part been spared the intense air attack up to this point in the war. They finished their attack on the Republican Guards. They were getting ready to go home. They're low on fuel, low on weapons, and the unit shot a surface-to-air missile, which unfortunately struck the A-10 aircraft of Steve's wingman, Lieutenant Rob Sweet. And about 30 seconds after the missile hit, Rob is looking straight down, has a face full of sand, most of the right wing is gone, and he now ejects and has a 5-minute parachute ride descending over the 10,000 troops they just got done bombing and strafing.
And tell us what happened. What did Captain Phillips end up doing?
Steve initially did what any fighter pilot would do, noticed a good shoot, wrote down the coordinates, started the search and rescue effort. And that happened in about the first 60 seconds. At that point, he was low on fuel, low on weapons, had earned the right to leave, but the thought of leaving never crossed his mind. He began a left-hand orbit at 10,000 feet over 10,000 angry, well-equipped, and well-trained Iraqi Republican Guard troops, drawing anti-aircraft fire away from Rob under parachute. He gets on the radio. He calls for another flight of 2 A-10s to come in. Because the A-10 doesn't have radar, they can't find him. And so what Steve does is that he decides to dispense high visibility pyrotechnic flares, highlighting his location, not only to the inbound A-10s, but to everybody with a gun or a missile system on the ground. Moments later, his aircraft is struck and mortally wounded by a surface-to-air missile. Yet Steve's concern remains for others. He gets on the radio and says to his inbound A-10s, "Hey guys, you should go home. Too dangerous here." And 3 minutes and 45 seconds after Rob Sweet is shot down, an absolute eternity in a combat zone.
Yeah, that's a long time, isn't it, flying over the enemy?
It's a really long time. It doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're the only game in town at 200 knots over 10,000 troops, it's an eternity. And it's a conscious decision Steve made to save his wingman. And moments later, he was shot down, unfortunately killed when a second surface-to-air missile struck his aircraft, knocked the tail off, cartwheeling the wreckage of his aircraft into the desert.
And what happened to his buddy who parachuted out to safety? He got captured, right?
He got captured. He landed about 50 feet from a Russian-built T-72 tank. He was met by 50 very angry Iraqi conscripts. Luckily, a couple of officers came out and drug Rob away. He ended up being a POW for 19 days. But thankfully for him and his family, on the 5th of March, was liberated as one of the prisoners of war from Operation Desert Storm.
Now, to get the Medal of Honor for a pilot like this in the Air Force, that's very unusual.
It's very unusual. We have not had an Air Force pilot awarded the Medal of Honor since Vietnam. And admittedly, the standard is very high. And look, Steve Phillips is a hero. He earned the Silver Star for gallantry in action. But when you look at the requirement for Medal of Honor, it's conspicuous gallantry at risk of life, above and beyond the call of duty.
Yeah.
And when you look at all those requirements and others who have earned, the Medal of Honor, Steve's actions that day fill all the squares.
So what can our viewers do? Is there anything they can do to help him get this Medal of Honor?
This month, Air Force Magazine published an article about Steve's heroics and this effort. So if your viewers will go to Air Force Magazine and find the article Above and Beyond, number one, they should read Steve's story. Number two, they should share it with everybody in their network. And number three, if they know people of influence, political leaders, you name it, share the story with them. On the website, they're going to be able to follow along the progress of our Medal of Honor efforts, and we'll have more specific information down the road as to how they can more directly support our effort to get Captain Steve Phillips the Medal of Honor.
Again, I just appreciate it. Jim, I wish you the best. Thank you for your service in the past, and keep us updated. We want to hear that eventually he does get this Medal of Honor.
Will do. Thanks so much for having me. And please remember Captain Steve Phillis.
Yes, thank you.